Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, just for the genealogy side, my aunt, when she was alive, did ours back and found out that I'm
Okay. Okay. Cookies. Crap.
It's hard for him.
And then what can I come to 23? And that's
Yeah, the last garage.
it's branch 6, right? Yep.
Thank you.
I don't know why. It was fine this morning with Brian here.
I have all that. Nobody met you. This side, what do you think? I got crazy. Sorry.
Like muskets. How are you? Good, yeah. I'm all right. A little frazzled this morning.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It is 9 a.m. On Monday, April 11th. We'll call the meeting of our Judiciary and Public Safety Committee to order. Has this meeting been properly noticed? I apologize. I made every effort. Truly, I did. I wanted to get there so bad today, but I just can't. I just couldn't make it. So I'm with you there in spirit. Believe me, I am, on a bittersweet day. Okay. You have before you the consideration of minutes of March 14th. What is your pleasure?
Recommend.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, public comments on agenda items. Do you have any members of the public that wish to speak? You're very welcome, by the way. Always have been, always will be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's Jim. My name is Jim Wise, 1204 Cameron Circle, District 8 is the campaign headquarters. It's about a 7-iron from the ground round. So that's whereabouts it is. So, anyway, first of all, I'd like to thank the board. We're not going to be the same faces on this board here. I've learned to expect the good things from the things that you guys have done. So thank you for that. You did a good job on it. Today is the last meeting of this committee. Probably joy and something else, maybe joy and happiness or joy and sorrow. Monday's back. I don't know if that's sorrow or not. But you guys did a great job. One of the things I would like to thank is from the board standpoint is when I would see Judiciary Committee on there and see a referendum and see the vote on it. So the heavy lifting has been done. You guys have made the questions asked, the tough questions. You've talked it up among yourselves. And I know that when I see it on the referendum that, okay, there might be a few little things that, but you've probably already brought them up anyway and found that they were non-issues. So but anyway, thank you for doing that. You made the board member a lot easier, the job from the board member a lot easier. Speaking of the votes on that, when that the referendums came by, even if you had a one dissenting on that, I would like to find out what the dissenting or something that I deserve special attention. But very seldom was that ever a contact. But I want to thank you again. You guys, I'm sorry, this board, this committee has done a fantastic job. Many of you have been on this thing for several years. So thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Working with you too.
Well, thank you.
Great time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Natalie Strohmeyer, the Register of Deeds. I just want to thank all of you that have served for all your years. Your experience since leaving the county is so tremendous. But I understand that people have other things in their lives that they need to continue on to. But I, again, just want to thank everyone that's leaving and then Paul for continuing to stay on board. So that's basically all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you for taking time. Thank you, Natalie. And thanks for your good job, your good work.
Mary Ann Miller, 2034 Menominee Drive, Oshkosh. As you all know, we have worked together over the years when I became court counsel, and I am basically going to echo what Supervisor Wise and Natalie Strohmeyer said. I thank you for all of your attention and your courtesy and your in-depth questioning, because it made our job easier and basically made us do a better job. So I wish you all well, and thank you again.
As do we wish you. Thank you for your excellent work too.
Sorry for my late arrival, but I bought donuts. So yeah, and napkins. So anyway, likewise, as a member of the public, 348 Rosalia Street, Oshkosh, Seward, I also want to thank you for all the years of being able to work with you and being so helpful to our office. And gonna miss you. Really am. Glad Paul's gonna be hanging on with us. Lord knows what the future brings, but we'll get through it, whatever it is.
Yes,
So anyway, thank you, and
Well, you
bless you
also
all.
made things a lot easier for us. So that's definitely.
I'm glad to hear that. I'll
The
let
rock
ladies
for
know.
board members.
Excellent. All right, well, here's donuts.
And thank you.
You bet.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair. I think that's it for public comments. You're muted. Yes. Okay. While we're waiting for Bill to come back on, why don't we go on to communications shared by committee members?
Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, all righty.
Okay, communication shared by committee members, anybody? All?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to share with the committee an article that I extracted from the Oshkosh Northwestern on April Fool's Day, April 1st. And the headline reads, "State picks old church for special needs sex offender." And there's a nice picture along with the article on that topic. And I certainly look forward to the sheriff and the corporation council addressing that issue. It was hinted at by the sheriff before, but it's public knowledge from page A1 from April 1st, Oshkosh Northwest. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, then we move on to item 5, request for an additional $239,000 to repair or replace the Broad Street Boathouse. Sheriff Mons.
Morning, I'll save my comments for the sheriff's report regarding the committee. I don't want to influence you at all. This boathouse has obviously come in much more expensive than what we had initially thought. Mike Elder, and I can't speak to material costs and all of those things, but I can tell you that it is obviously, there's an increase in labor and materials that we did not anticipate. And on page, hopefully you all got the packet. On the second page, it lays out where those costs are being generated from. And there was a slight delay because of the lateral pipe that had to be put in for storm sewer that the city is paying for. That's future. That's going to run along Broad Street and out alongside the boathouse. We had to make sure we did not interfere with our anchors for the boathouse. Again, this is a 50-year plus fix. We looked at other options and the costs associated with other options, and we're in a different facility. However, it cuts down our response time tremendously. We don't have the ability. The boat is so large that it would have to come out on a hoist. It would have to be launched if we were to keep it at Sweetwater or any of the other ones along the Fox Lake. And then we're also dealing with the railroad bridge being open and closed. This way we're on the other side, and there really is nothing. There is nothing as far as a covered boathouse that would fit our needs on that side of the mouth of the river. So this is where we're at. It is it's substantial, though. The increase is substantial and the overall cost is substantial, but it is a 50-year fix to what we need as far as rescue is concerned.
Do we have other boats besides this one?
Yes.
And I mean, fire departments have the airboat
Yeah.
and whatnot, but what Plagan and so
Yeah, we do.
just kind of tell everybody what.
Sure. We have a marine unit that is actually staged at the CB Street Firehouse here in Oshkosh. And we also have one that is up in Neenah-Menasha Fire. They have our Marine 3 unit that is up here or up there. And then there's this is boats, not ice boats, but actual boats. And then there's the one that's down here that that the fire department can launch. But there is obviously some time that's involved. Now, with us launching versus what a fire department can do, it is much different. We have to have a patrolman or 2 patrolmen come in off of patrol, go get the, it would be hooked up. We've done this before. We hook it up to the pickup truck, so it's ready to go, but we're looking at substantial launch time. But yes, to answer your question, we do have other boats available.
Winnebago County area and anything.
That would be the Marine unit that is here in Oshkosh. We pick up, or actually the fire department has agreed to take it to wherever we need to have it. So if it's a Poigan rescue, Oshkosh Fire, if available, will run it to Poigan, and then we'll take over in the actual operation of the boat. And I'm sure if need be, or we didn't have anybody, they would do it for us, most certainly, or one of the fire departments. So it's really shared equipment for rescue. Once it comes to recovery, that's a different story than we have our dive team take care of recovery.
My question is, because we are in a construction bubble right now, is this something that we could hold till pricing comes back in line?
Well, the problem is having any spot for, we purchased a new marine unit last year.
Right.
And there just is no viable spot for that unit. Now, we still have the old one, but it's tired, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on maintenance for something that will be auctioned off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would not have a suitable place for the new one, which would have a price to it, to that as well.
Right. And then the availability of the boat is part of it.
Okay.
And when we looked at costs of renting space for the new boat and the response time, the increased response time, it's substantial. Now, having Oshkosh's Oshkosh Fire with a marine unit ready that they can launch, that takes care of some of the rescues, but The boat that would go into this boathouse is larger and can handle really anything that Winnebago. We don't go out when it's 85 and sunny.
Oh, no.
and
Oh,
it's
no.
the lake,
Yeah.
the lake is like glass. That's not when things happen.
No.
It is at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's 4-foot waves.
Yeah.
And that's when we need that boat.
Yeah.
And that's when we save lives.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
What is your pleasure, committee?
Approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. Any other discussion? If not, please indicate your approval by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Next is the replace carpet in direct supervision, pad 1, 2, and C-pad with vinyl flooring.
This is the original from 2003. It was decided to use carpet. Probably not the greatest decision back in 2003, but we are would like to replace, this is out of the jail improvement fund. So these funds are not tax levy dollars. These are out of the jail improvement fund, which really fits what the intent of the jail improvement fund is about. We would be replacing the flooring in the 3 direct supervision pods, a long-term fix. Vinyl flooring is extremely durable. And we are also, and while our count is lower, we do have inmates in C-pod right now, but we would be able to move them around once the pods are painted, and that's going to be done by maintenance and the flooring put in. And this has been mentioned on many of our jail inspections over the last few years. And actually the health department has notated it as well. It's not a hazard or a health hazard, I should say, but has been notated on both of those reports. So asking for approval to use jail improvement funds to take care of this project.
Won't be as homey, but I make a motion to approve the jail improvement fund. Second that.
Is there a specific cost here?
The cost, because it's not a budget transfer, I don't believe I need to, but the cost, the total
I was
cost.
curious.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's 104,638, $104,638.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, please indicate your approval by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next, number 7, amend table of organization and add lieutenant in the corrections division. This will provide needed command level oversight and support of jail operations during the evening hours. Sheriff Mons.
Yeah, so we have 2 retirements coming up. We have Pete Gaylor, who is our DARE crime prevention deputy, is retired in June. And Kim Thompson. Pete has, I believe, about 25 years with us, but he had some prior experience. Phenomenal job. Just a real solid employee. Started our Citizens Academy. I think we're on the 5th one coming up. It is very, we have waiting lists to get into the academy. And it gives people an opportunity to see what it's like in law enforcement and kind of sort out the fact and fiction as much as we can give them. He also teaches all of our DARE schools that are in our jurisdiction, as well as some of the parochial schools. And we're going to continue to do that, but we're going to continue to do that with Pete working as a reserve deputy for us. It is so his sole job will just be DARE, but working as a reserve deputy, which is a much lower wage. He still loves it, and we will continue that program using him in that position. And he also does crime prevention, so he does security surveys at businesses, at schools, at our government buildings. So we will continue to do that as well, but it's additional duties that we will put on patrolmen. We actually have some that are trained already. So divvying up those duties. And then Kim Thompson, who has been with us 33 years. She has one more than I do. Kim is retiring. She's right up front. You've probably talked to Kim. She does a lot with our 24/7 alcohol and drug program. The drug program we recently moved over to Connect. The alcohol program, which I'll talk about, is also moving to Connect. So we're taking those two positions, creating a position, a PM administrative position for the jail. It is our highest liability, as you know. It is where we have medical issues, it's where we have mental health issues. Those things are getting more and more prevalent, and the needed supervision will help in that area of liability, as well as mentoring young first line supervisors in the jail. We do end up out of those two positions saving $152,000. Yeah, I'm sorry, $56,665. So we eliminate two, create one, and have a net savings.
You've been listening to
Yes,
finance.
yes.
Very good.
John, this also would aid in any accreditations to have a supervisor on board, because now, when you have senior jailer in charge, or how's it?
Right, well, we have sergeants in the jail, so we do have actual a rank structure. But many of them are young. We have a very young,
Right.
it's a, as I've talked about, it's a constant cycle of people coming and going. So we have people with limited experience that are in supervisory roles. I mean, they do a great job, but they don't have a lot of experience to draw from. This gives us an opportunity to promote somebody with, I don't know who that's going to be yet, but it will be somebody that has an array of knowledge from different divisions typically, so they can relate and work well with the other divisions.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections anyone has? If not, please indicate your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Sheriff's report.
I just want to invite everybody to our May 9th annual awards at the Convention Center at 10:30 in the morning. So if you would like to come, just let us know so we can make sure you have a reserved front row spot. 10:30, May 9th at the Convention Center here in town. You'll find that you'll learn a lot about what happens. If you read the annual report, you'll see what we do, but when you get to the individual efforts and things that are accomplished by the individuals here, it's pretty amazing. I just touched on the 24/7 program. Our 24/7 alcohol program, which is it's been in since 2011. So we've had this program a long time. Typically with any program, you hit the point where you don't progress anymore and you need to relook at it. We've looked at different ways to address our alcohol offenders, whether it's OWIs or domestics. And this program, in my opinion, has been the most successful diversion program that we have had. It diverts people prior to conviction, but it also, if they're successful in the program, it reduces the amount of time that they're sentenced to jail. The judges consider all of that, so it actually reduces our jail population. And that many of these offenders who would be in jail on bond are not, because they're on the program. There's accountability that's immediate, where we get an alert that says someone has a positive test, failed to give a test. They give 4 to 5 tests a day, and there's immediate consequence. We go look for them and we take them into custody if needed. So it has been effective. The anecdotal, I've shared with you some of the anecdotal comments that are made where people haven't been sober in 15 years and they're suddenly talking to their parents again. And they're making better decisions. And even if that sobriety is for a short period of time, it's at least some sobriety, and then they can at least work towards the long term. We did a look at repeat offenders for drunk driving, and it was 11% compared to the 28 to 30% that the state has for repeat offenders. So it's working that way as well. But there comes a time when we do need to move that program, or right now having connect with some, I don't really, it has some substance to it. We have people that are actually assigned to it. They have been hired to it. Carol Morak is very excited to take over the 24/7 alcohol program. It's established, so there's a business plan. There is accomplishments that have already been looked at thoroughly, and I'm sure that they're going to make it even better. We will still do the enforcement piece, so we're still going to get the text that says someone missed the test, and we go find them. So the enforcement piece and the compliance piece, we still handle. It is the administrative piece and that portion that they will take care of, which makes sense now. It's under one umbrella. And it immediately gives them about 100, and I think today was 107 offenders that are on it. Since its inception, we have had 3,221 people on the program. So that's a lot of people that we've impacted. Some positively and some positively, maybe negatively.
From our perspective, positively.
Right, yeah. At least there's been accountability. Actually, there's legislation now where 24/7 can replace the ID, which is the thing you blow in if you're going to drive your car. But there's obviously, if I want to drive intoxicated, I use your car, and
Right.
where if you're on the 24/7 program as part of the sentence, you can't. Because we're going to come looking for you as soon as you have a positive test. So there's been a lot of good things that have happened as a result of the program. So, and I'm sure it'll continue.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know what the stat is, but I know years and years ago, the statistic was that if you were on the highway after 10 p.m. on a holiday weekend, 85% of the people you would meet on the highway would be under the influence.
Yeah, it is still
And
high.
that was before pot.
Right. I think, I think
Still
that is
high.
better,
Mhm.
that the impaired driving, because we have options now with Lyft and Uber, and so it's a little better now. But we just arrested a 5th-time drunk driver last night. Who was going the wrong way down 41. So, and yesterday afternoon, we had another one on Highway 10. That was a rollover. And a couple other ones that were arrested over the weekend, but those two come to mind. So it is, it's still very much a problem, and this program helps, no doubt.
Sure. How is the 4 to 5 tests a day enforced? Do they report early in the morning, or
It's
when is it?
It's all done remotely. So they come in, they set up, and they take a portable preliminary breath tester with them. It has a GPS on it, so we know where they're at when they're giving us the sample, and they blow into it, and it tells us what their concentration of alcohol is. It should be 0. It takes a picture of them. It has facial recognition, so that's all part of the setup. We've had people try to slide a straw this way through, into the. They're pretty ingenious, but it's. Has anybody ever beat it? I'm not sure, but we've seen them try.
It's a remote breathalyzer.
Yes,
Yeah.
with facial recognition and a GPS.
Can you give us the jail population today?
Yeah, it is 217.
With guests, rentals,
I'm sorry.
with rentals or without rentals?
Without rentals, we have 14 rentals. We had to actually decrease the rentals a little bit because the population spiked on us. It's coming down a little bit, so we'll probably see the rentals go up. I talked to you about that being revenue that we hadn't anticipated. So, but we're going to have some revenue that we had anticipated, that the change in what we charge someone who wants to drop money off through the kiosk or through the web. We made that $2 instead of the sliding scale. So there's a couple other things that there'd be some give and take on, but I think we're going to come out on the positive side of it. The number of Huber is way low. It has been since the pandemic, and it hasn't picked up. We just don't have people who are in our facility who are sentenced with Huber that want to work, and there are a number of them. Can't force them. I think we're going to increase our number on our GPS program, but then there are some people that need to be in jail, so we have to weigh those things out. But we will be increasing the GPS numbers, which are lower than they were back when this facility first opened up and we closed the Huber Center. So,
Any other questions from the committee?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yes, any other comments from the committee?
I'll just put something on the table. Dementia issues with drivers. Are you seeing, is that something that you're kind of keeping an eye on? Or, are we doing something with that? So, and I would think that something similar to if we somehow have some kind of a referral system and with GPS, that's definitely going to be a part of our future even more than it is now, I think.
Certainly, as the baby boomers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as we.
Yeah, I'm a customer on that, right? So, yes, so anytime that we have someone that has driving behavior issues, where it's recognized, and it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's elderly or has dementia issues, it could be physical impairments. We do a driver behavior report, and then they have to go through the process of getting their license back. So then they have to go to DOT, complete a written and actual driving test. So there are processes that they need to go to, and that's done. And when we recognize that there may be a safety issue to themselves or other drivers, absolutely. That is something that we'll do. And as far as dementia patients that wander, we have Project Lifesaver where they wear a bracelet and we can find them with a GPS that way. The only other thing I have is with the 980 offender, the one that has caused so much stir in the town of Rushford. We have a court appearance on April 25th at 8:30, branch 6. It's a motion to intervene that was filed on my behalf to try to gain more information about this particular offender. Right now, law enforcement's job is to the committee, the county committee finds a residence, and in this case, it's our trailer that we purchased. And we are responsible to geographically make sure that it fits the statutory criteria. But with offenders that, in this particular offender, there's so many special issues and circumstances that nobody knows except for the people who treat him. And I think it may be shared with social services to some extent, but how do we, geographically, a place, a residence may work, but what is best for the offender and what is best for the area if you have an offender who has some very serious mental health conditions, and now you have a violent sex offender who has to have 24-hour, I know that this particular offender has to have 24-hour supervision. What happens when there's a lapse in that supervision? What are those issues? How does law enforcement approach this person? Because if there are whatever issues there may be, but mental health issues, how you approach somebody can determine whether or not you use force. And some people respond to creating more distance. Some respond to a closer, more intimate distance. So those are the things that we need to know in order to determine whether or not a different location would be suitable for this particular offender. And that's what the notice to intervene is. On the 23rd of June, there's the actual release appearance where the court determines whether or not this particular offender will be released. And obviously there's concerns I'm going back to now a little bit different, but if this person needs 24-hour supervision, why are they being released?
Right.
It's
It doesn't make sense.
yeah, it defies common sense, and we're common sense people.
Yeah.
And I got to say that with all of these sex offenders, the 980 offenders who are very restricted as to where they go, we are changing the quality of life in our rural areas of all of our counties by moving them there.
Right.
They committed when they committed their crimes, they resided in the city of Oshkosh, the village of Fox Crossings, in either Menashe or Nina, one of the two. Yeah, okay, we'll give it to Nina. But none of them were residents of the rural townships, but yet we're going to change,
Yeah.
whether it's real or not. It's still real to the person that lives out there that is now dealing with a sexually violent person living within 1,500 feet. Well, it could be living right next door, depending upon whether or not they have a child or whatever the case might be. And it's not right. When we have a perfectly suitable place that we spent a large sum of money on, and it's right here within the shadow of this agency, a response time of 30 seconds. We go by it 50 or more times a day. It is the best of a bad situation.
John, what are they considering 24-hour supervision of this person? Being somewhere like here, or do they have actual person on site?
They have somebody there.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Why are we? What's this?
Because they have rights. We don't. They do.
That is absolutely no common sense.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Has it been discussed as a contingency to move the existing resident to another suitable location that would enable this highly needy offender to reside under the shadow of law enforcement?
Well, there really is no other spot. I mean,
Well, I understand that. I know that's why we built that.
yeah.
But it seems to me that this is a very special situation where he's got to have 24-hour. So there's going to have to be somebody there, should he be, in fact, released. And that's what Judge Bissett will have to deal with. So, you know, has there been a contingency thought in terms of having to work under the umbrella of the state mandates? Because, you know, we are literally in a position between a rock and a hard place. The whole philosophy of the 980 program is to preserve the constitutional rights of the offender. And the minute that that he has to be indefinitely confined, the whole purpose of the 980 program, you'll find that he'll have to be released. The other alternative is just let him loose, put him on probation.
Which just happened to one of the other 980 offenders. That was one of our 980 offenders was outright released to the community. They did not believe that he needed 980 housing, so he was released. But the act that what you're speaking of was actually addressed by the legislature that said the county has the responsibility and the authority to determine where the person lives. And it removes the ability for the state to say, no, we want them here. That's how it reads. But yet we are being bullied into something else.
Well, it would seem to me, taking a conservative perspective, perhaps, is that we should be thinking in terms of finding a place for the existing resident to have, or if he's at a point where he could be released into society, so that we would have this singular special needs individual within the shadow of the law enforcement center.
May I speak?
What needs to be done?
Yes, go ahead.
The position of the county has been that we have had housing available and documented since July of 2021. And we are in this situation, as Sheriff Mott's referenced, because the state is indicating, well, we question that. Well, it's not the state's authority to question it. The judge, and in this case, it's now going to be Judge Bissett. It had been Judge Wolf, but given the fact that there was a conflict that was raised when this new potential place was submitted by the state, Judge Bissett or Judge Wolf recused himself, and now it's Judge Bissett, as you referenced, Supervisor Isaac. And again, as far as we're concerned, we have satisfied what we needed to do as a county, and the hearings that are coming up in front of Judge Bissett are basically going to be looking at that. And we expect that Judge Bissett will see our rationale on that. But you bring up a good point, and the county does have to look in the future because there are more people at Sandbridge. And, you know, it's an aging population, and we may be running into situations. But again, our obligation is to provide housing regarding appropriateness geographically. The statute only talks about geographics, 1,500 feet from a daycare, from a church, from a school, anything like that. But again, I mean, we're moving into uncharted territory, but it is also clear that if the sheriff is able to make an informed decision, he needs to be able to look at this whole file. There's a lot of material that's obviously confidential. And that is why The first order of business is to file this motion to intervene so that the sheriff as a party would be able to look at what has been is in the files of Sandridge, and he can make a completely informed decision. So we've got two hearings. We've got the motion to intervene, and then we've got the actual supervised release. Is it even appropriate for this person to be released? So those are the two things, and that's in June 25th. Question, but I just wanted the committee to hear that.
Well, it seems to me that the whole 980 program, from what I have observed, and I did attend a seminar on it. I think Sheriff was at that, Stevens Point, or maybe Wisconsin Rapids, as well as a discussion at the steering committee for public safety. That the whole foundation of the 980 program is that the individual, rather than being restored to the community with no restraints, has this extra step. But this step is not universally accepted throughout the country. I think there's a little bit less than 50% of the states that actually do something like this. And that it is subject to repeal should it not be carried out legally.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Have we thought about, we have to, obviously this is urgent and, the decisions have to be made now. But looking forward, should we be talking about a second, second trailer?
Yeah, I know the county exec is in favor of doing some additional housing.
Yeah.
They are, when you look at the amount of offenders that were at Sandridge, which is the
Right.
treatment facility, 2 years ago to what is there now, they are releasing them faster
Yeah.
than they ever have.
Yeah, obviously this was a policy move.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we had 7 there the last time?
You think we now have 4
Four.
left?
Okay, okay.
Because as Sheriff Mott
Others have been
referenced,
released.
someone just got outright released
Yeah.
from Winnebago
Yeah.
County.
Yeah.
Who was a resident of Winnebago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing you need to know is, yes, as Sheriff Mott indicated, the county executive has been trying to address this,
Yeah.
looking at what we're facing.
Right.
We have been diligently trying to get an answer from the state to say, if we were to have, a number of, let's say, small units, let's say 4,
Mhm.
would that satisfy? In other words, let's say there were individual units, sort of like a studio apartment, right? But you
Right.
share a wall.
Right.
Would that satisfy the state? The state has not given us an answer. They won't say yes or no. So that really ties our hands because we are trying to be proactive.
Right,
Now,
right.
Mike Elder brought up that, well, maybe if we did that, if we have the land, we would have those units available. But if it turns out the state says, oh, no, you've got, 4 sex offenders in one area, that's not kosher, then maybe those units could be converted to other things such as storage, or if the sheriff had needs for inmates or something to that effect. But again, the problem is the state seems to want, to have its cake and eat it too. You deal with this. If you can't find an answer, you're going to get fined $1,100 a day. Okay, well, we're going to try to find an answer. Would you be amenable to having, what is the magic number? What can we have? Well, we can't say. We have to look at it at the time. If we were trying to have separate units. So it's a very difficult situation.
It's
But yeah.
awful expensive storage. My gosh.
It's big business too, when you look at what the rents are that these vendors are making, $2,800 for a $74,000 property. $2,800 a month, that's what they're getting in the town of Wolf River.
The public needs to know about that. They do.
Well, a gentleman contacted me from Manitowoc County last week, gave me the list of all of the rentals out there for 980 offenders, and one particular guy is making $396,000 a year off rentals.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
do I not trust what's happening? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think there's more to the story.
follow the money.
Yeah.
Always follow the money.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it would be a good, Journal Sentinel or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
all right. Anyone else? No?
If I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
I know I spoke last month because I kind of got my dates screwed up, but I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the relationship that I've had with this committee. It has been amazing. It's a partnership. I respect every one of you, appreciate all that you have done for the agency and for me personally. And that doesn't end. If you ever need anything from me or the agency, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are very reactive to what our citizens need, and now you just turn into another normal citizen, but certainly our relationship doesn't stop. And if I call you or reach out to you,
We're there.
yeah,
We're there. Yep,
and thank you very much.
Yep. we're there. We're there for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
All right, before we move to adjournment, I'd like to echo the same thoughts here and say what a pleasure it's been working with all of you for many years. And we've done some hard work, great work, investigating, thinking. Some of our decisions have been, like all of them have been difficult. Some had difficult repercussions for people's jobs. It was a difficult time for some, but I think as the one person put it best, we done good. We did our best. We were honest. We were open, and we were accountable. Now we're going to get you guys to focus. Just focus. Best wishes to those who will come after us. They've got a lot of challenges, but I'm sure they will do well. So, anyone else wish to speak before we adjourn?
I would just say, Mr. Chair, thank you so much for leading us well. And we really appreciate your voice, and
What's left of it?
we'll miss working with you too.
Uh,
And we'll miss your Aunt Tilly.
well,
Tilly,
what can I say? Thanks, Paul. You're all just wonderful people. I just can't imagine not being around you folks and your wisdom. Anyway, our next meeting date, we can just say the next meeting date is tentatively scheduled for the same date, but it's best, I think, to leave it up to the next committee to decide when they would like to be, just because it's always been this way, it's not a good enough reason to say it. So we'll echo with that. The next committee can decide when they would like to have their meetings. So accept the motion to adjourn.
We'll move.
Just been moved and seconded. All in favor? We are adjourned. Godspeed, everybody.
Yeah, take care, Bill.
See you on Wednesday, Bill, at facilities.
Oh, you guys still have more. This is my last official.
This was your last, this wasn't right?
Yeah, this is my last one.